Okay, so for our stiles and rails, I'm going to make them 2 inches wide. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut all the stock on the table saw now. Okay, like I said, we're going to be putting together the stiles and the rails, and we're going to be using a mortise and tenon joint. It's probably one of the strongest joints you can make in woodworking. Reason being is there's just an awful lot of surface area for you to apply glue. We're going to be using this mortising drill to make the mortises, and we're going to be using a table saw to make our tenons. And we're going to get started by laying out our tenons and our mortises. Okay, this piece right here is going to be one of our stiles that we're going to make the tenon on. And I've already laid this out for you, but just to let you know what I'm doing here, what my thought process is. There really is no standard procedure for making a tenon or a mortise. It's kind of subjective, up to you. You know, you don't want it too small, you don't want it too big, so you kind of, you know, try and find something in the middle of the road. And each piece is 7/8 of an inch thick and 2 inches long. So on a tenon, first thing you're going to do is you're going to find the center mark, and you know, 7/8, the center mark would be 7/16, which is right here, and then it's 2 inches long. So you come up 1 inch, boom, that's your center mark. Now, the drill bit that I'm using is exactly 3/8. So, again, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go half of 3/8 from the center mark to the left, and half of 3/8 is going to be 3/16, which puts you right here. So you strike a line going up and down. You do the exact same thing, but going right, 3/16 to the right of the center line, which is right here. Okay. And then I decided this is 2 inches long, so I figure I'm going to go up a ½ inch, start my tenon, go a complete inch, which is right here, and then the rest is another ½ inch. So ½ inch, 1 inch, ½ inch, that's 2 inches. So my tenon is going to be 1 inch long by 3/8 inch wide. So that's what I marked out here. Now I take the rail, and it's going to be similar. We know that, you know, we want these two to meet like this at 90 degrees. So I'm going to come up 1/2 inch, which is where my tenon's going to start, right here. And I did the same thing. I found the center mark, which again is going to be 7/16, and I went 7/8. 7/8 is the distance, and I did the same thing. I went 3/16 to the left and 3/16 to the right. Struck those lines, and again a ½ inch here. This is where my mortise starts, and this is where it ends. It's 1 inch. And I'm going to use a mortising drill bit to make this mortise, and it's also going to go down 1 inch. So let's get started. I think we're going to get started on the mortise. Okay, let's get started on this. Okay, as you can see, the mortising drill press, it drills a square hole, if you will, and that's the great thing about this drill press, because if I was using just a normal drill press, which is fine to do to make mortises, but you're going to have rounded ends, and you're going to have to go in there with a chisel, or you could just go to your tenon and round those edges. After you make your tenon. Either case, you're going to have to do one or the other. But with this, you got a square hole, and it'll accommodate a square tenon, which is perfect. Alright, so this is what it looks like. Here's the tenon. Here's the mortise. They're supposed to fit together just like that. That's what we're looking for. Nice, clean, flush, square joint. And it looks like that's what we have. So, going to go ahead and cut the rest of these tenons, and then we're going to glue them up. Okay, now it's time to glue up the rails and the stiles. Okay, our stiles and rails came out pretty nice. Everything's nice and square, smooth and flush, which is exactly what we want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this through my shaper, and we're going to put a dovetail cut onto each side of the rails, and hopefully they'll just slide right in. All right. Okay, we have our rails and stiles. We have the dovetail cut into the edges, and now we're just going to glue them up and slide them in place. Okay, now we're going to take our drawer pieces and we're going to cut them to length on the table saw. Okay, we're going to lay out our dovetails. We're going to start with the tails first, and what I do is I come in a 1/2 inch on either side of your board. There's a 1/2 inch right here. I'll make a little mark with my pencil. And
come on in a 1/2 inch on the other side. Make a mark with your pencil. Now, take your compass, and I want 3 dovetails to go across this board. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. But I want this point to end past that mark that we just cut, or just marked. So I'm going to increase this a little bit. You don't want to go too much, because remember, you're multiplying it by 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to increase it a little bit more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that did it. Now, in case you didn't know, that mark that I made, the 1/2 inch mark, the distance between here and here is the diameter of your pins. And this is a very narrow pin, which I like. That tells everybody that that tells everyone that the dovetails were not cut in a jig. However, when you're doing it on the table saw, it's you're gonna want a little wider. So I'm gonna increase this just a hair. There's 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to go a little bit more. So 1, 2, 3. This should do it. I think this should be good. Okay. So just darken this up. That. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to make a mark this time. All right. Make a second mark here. Alright, so we have our 2 marks right here. Now what you do here is you go back and you start off on the left side of the 1/2 inch mark. Make another mark here. And the last one right here. Okay. So we have our pins. You can see the marks we have here. We want to, let me just draw this here real quick. Okay. So you can see our dovetails here. 1, 2, 3. And then our pins. Okay? We want to get rid of this stuff here. Okay, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to determine the width of our pieces, and the way I'm going to do this is with this marking wheel. And what I do is loosen up the this screw right here, and you slide it until the wheel falls and hits a flat surface. There we go. And you tighten it up. Then you're going to want to mark. Now this is going to be the tail, so you're going to want to mark all sides here. Okay. Now it's kind of hard for you to see here, but there is a line here. Let me see if I could just darken this up for you. Okay. So this is the thickness of our boards. All our boards for the drawers are this thickness. Okay. Okay, now that we have this laid out here, I'm going to take my adjustable bevel, and this bevel is set to I believe it's a 1:7. It's either a 1:7 or a 1:6 degree. To be honest, I forget which one it was. But what you're going to want to do is going to want to line this up to the lines up to this line here. There we go. There's one. Same thing here. Alright, oops. And then you're going to want to go the opposite direction. Alright, and again, this is the part that we're going to want to get rid of. I'm just going to do it on this side as well. Actually, I don't need to do it on this side. Okay.
Okay, we've reached the end of part 2. Click right here for part 3. Thanks, guys.